Hi, I'm Mike, owner of the In-Groove in Phoenix, Arizona. Today I'm going to do a Record Store Day 2025 Black Friday video. I wanted to talk about the releases I was looking forward to and kind of the overall vibe I think there's going to be on this year's Record Store Day. So there's been a lot of blowback, I think, from the list this year. A lot of people are complaining that the list is not nearly as good as last year. But the problem I think with that is everybody kind of gets Record Store Day and Black Friday confused. And I think I have the same conversation with you guys every year. Record Store Day is a big event. There's 400 releases. There's a ton of releases. So out of 400, if there's 20 really solid releases, everybody goes nuts. It's a huge ordeal. With Black Friday, it's a little different because there's about a fourth of that. There's about 100 releases, on average. So you only got to do the math and know that, maybe 4 or 5 of those being solid would be kind of the equivalent of a standard Record Store Day. Again, Black Friday is not Record Store Day, although it is a Record Store Day branded event. But a lot of people looked at this list and said it was pretty terrible. And I've kind of spent the last week looking at it, and I don't agree. There's a lot of great stuff on this list, and keep in mind there's a lot less titles to choose from. But there's still a lot of great stuff on this list, a lot of stuff that I myself am looking forward to. Now, Record Store Day is kind of morphed. It's not the same thing as it was 10 years ago. There's a lot of live releases, a lot of archival releases in Record Store Day catalog now. But if you look 15, 20 years ago, 15, almost 20 years ago now, at the beginning of Record Store Day, it was mostly indie bands. So Record Store Day is constantly evolving in what they're putting out. Some of the trends I'm not a huge fan of. I'm not a big fan of picture discs and Zoetrope discs, but there's a market for it. I sell them every single year. So yeah, Black Friday, Record Store Day 2025, held November 25th, the day after Thanksgiving. Now keep in mind, we live stream the entire event. I've been doing this for years. If you tune in from the minute we open to the minute we close on this channel, I'm going to broadcast the entire event. I have a ton of fun doing it. It's always a highlight of the year. This year will be no exception. Now, for you guys, it might be a little more fun to watch at home because you could just do it at your leisure. While we're doing it, unfortunately, because of copyright laws, I have to play copyright-free classical music the entire day. So it grates on us a little bit on the store. But this is the kind of stuff we do for you, the viewing public. Okay. I was writing down all the stuff that I was interested in, and I kind of, there's a lot of stuff on this list that I think is really good and I'm going to be looking forward to. Okay, so I want to start by talking about the stuff that I'm not necessarily a fan of, but this is the stuff that I look for every year when I'm doing these videos or when I'm hosting a Record Store Day. It's like, what are the big releases? What are the releases everybody is going to be after? And it's typically like Olivia Rodrigo, Billie Eilish, Taylor Swift. It's the pop stars that draw huge crowds. And as a record store owner, that's what I'm looking forward to because I want a big crowd to show up to the store, right? It just makes financial sense. This year, there's 3 of them, I think. I think there's 3 solid releases that are going to drive traffic to make this kind of a eventful Record Store Day. The first one is Billie Eilish. She has a live 10-inch. It is the Amazon Songline series. I think it's a 4-track live EP. They're doing 20,000 of them, so they're doing a chunk of them. But Billie Eilish is a huge pop star. Her crowd is pretty significant every time she releases something. So this will be a big driver, and it's going to bring a lot of people in. Another one of those big drivers is Charli XCX. I think it's her first big hit in the United States anyways, although this is not really the kind of music I'm into. But Iconopop with Charli XCX I love it. Huge hit maybe 15 years ago. A massive hit 15 years ago. They're only doing 4,400 of those. I think that's going to be really popular. I'm planning on that selling extremely well. Again, it fits in the category of that type of draw for Record Store Day. And the other big one, and actually I think this is the release that is getting the most print run out of any title that's been announced. That is Chappell Roan's The Subway and The Giver live. It's just the 7-inch, but they're making 30,000 of them. That's huge. But Chappell Roan's really popular. She had a 7-inch maybe 3 years ago that shot up to $400 for just the 7-inch until they repressed it. Her original Record Store Day 7-inch. So those 3 titles I think are going to be huge draws just for that, again, that type of customer that lines up for those pop records. Now, it's never as good as if there's a Taylor Swift release. Taylor Swift release is on Record Store Day. Always fantastic. But again, I'm on the other side of the counter. You guys waiting in line, waiting through all the Swifties might be a little bit different story. But as a record store owner, I love having the Taylor Swift fans lining up. Okay, so these are the titles I'm looking forward to. And this isn't all of them, but this is the stuff that initially caught my eye. Starting with the original Freewheelin' Bob Dylan. So the original version had 4 different tracks on it that were later substituted out and issued without the 4 tracks. Oddly enough, there are copies of the original album with the 4 tracks out there, and they go for huge money. I had a deal a while back where I brokered an original minty mono copy of that album for a customer. And I want to say, again, it was just a broker deal. I think he got 25 grand for it. So it's a record that does exist. It's extremely collectible, extremely rare. That is the original, as intended, Freewheelin' Bob Dylan. Again, they pulled 4 tracks, they reissued it. That's the copy we know and love. That's the copy we're used to. But the original version is being officially released for the second time, because technically it was released already, but in such small numbers that the record drives, like I said, 25 grand, maybe more, maybe less, depending on condition. They're doing 13,000 of them. So I think it's going to be cool to have that. They did a Dylan release a while back, Blood on the Tracks, which I thought, again, that was an awesome release. And I'm looking forward to this one. Every single year they do a release from my favorite band of all time, The Doors. They're doing Live in Copenhagen. They're only doing 5,300 of them. Live in Copenhagen, 1968. I don't think this is going to be the same level sound-wise as Live in Detroit was, for instance, the last release. But I don't think it's going to be as bad as Bakersfield. Bakersfield was just like a pretty crummy audience recording. I don't think this is a studio recording, but I think this falls somewhere in the middle. This is not going to be an audiophile release whatsoever, but I'm a sucker for the Doors releases. I have everyone. I have everything that's ever come out, really, by the Doors on vinyl as far as release materials, you know, LA Woman, the Workshop Sessions, and, you know, just all those little squirrely releases and, you know, 20, 30 versions of every album. So I'm a big fan. I've got to have this. Well, I listen to it a ton. I don't know. It depends. It depends on how it sounds. Good set list. I really dig the set list. They do a couple of tracks on there that didn't get done too frequently, so looking forward to it. I think one of the highlights of the list is one that almost nobody's talking about, and that is Curtis Mayfield's Curtis. What a monumental, groundbreaking, killer soul record. And this is coming out as a Rhino Reserve. So this is all analog, cut from the master tape. This is an audiophile release of a phenomenal album as a Rhino Reserve. And they're only doing 2,700 of them. Now, this is according to Record Store Day's website, all these numbers I'm giving you. Sometimes that Record Store Day website only includes domestic numbers, and sometimes I'll tell you 2,700, and there could be 4,000 of them because they're made, some to be released overseas. But 2,700, a phenomenal record. That's going to be huge. This next one is going to be popular, but it's a Record Store Day first, so it will eventually get a full release. And I say it's going to be popular because the last release they did for Record Store Day was wildly popular. This is the Mack Avenue Kevin Gray cut, all analog Strata East titles. They're doing The Descendants of Mike and Phoebe, A Spirit Sparks, a rare Strata East title. I mean, all Strata East titles are rare. Almost none of them are easily findable. But a rare Strata East title, beautiful tip-on jacket, like the same presentation as had a brain fart there, a Blue Note Tone Poet. So deluxe, thick, tip-on jacket, gatefold, the all-analog Kevin Gray cut treatment. These have been wildly popular thus far. I think this, same thing, going to be really popular. They're only making 1,500 of them, so pretty short print. Again, another title that I'm looking forward to, because this was a news article that came out maybe 8 months, a year ago. They found, I'm a huge Talking Heads fan. Matter of fact, I'm trying to strategize where to go see David Byrne this year on this tour. He's not coming to Phoenix, but I'm going to make a trip somewhere. Huge David Byrne fan. But David Byrne, Chris Franz, the original band, The Artistics, before the Talking Heads, the first band that they were involved in, they did a demo tape. I think Psycho Killer, and there was a couple of tracks on this demo tape that later became Talking Head songs when Tina and, George entered the band. Harrison, not George, Garrett. Anyways, it's early in the morning filming this on a Sunday. But they found this tape, and it was a big news article. Like, this is the earliest known recording of the Talking Heads, or, what would become the Talking Heads. Came and gone as a news article. I never heard anything more about it. And then lo and behold, it's coming out as a Record Store Day release. So that demo tape, including I think 11 other early Talking Heads demos, so coming out for Record Store Day. Awesome. I can't wait to hear it. They're doing 7,500 of them. The Talking Heads titles that they've done so far, the concerts, have been absolutely phenomenal. I love this. We're doing a Talking Heads release every Record Store Day. They've been fantastic. They're so good. They were a phenomenal band live. This is the first non-live show, the first non-live release. But really looking forward to that. That's up there with... I'm looking at this list. That's my number one want on this Record Store Day list. I'm really looking forward to that. Being from Arizona, I know it will be popular, and I always look forward to an Alice Cooper release if they have one of note. And I think this is pretty good. This is the Welcome to My Nightmare Live, kind of a tour of his first solo album without the band. 1975 show, numbered to 3,500 copies. It'll be a popular release, especially in Arizona, but looks like a really good show. I'll pick that up as well. This next one I've kind of waffled on a little bit, but I'm decided I'm such a huge fan. I'm going to get it, although this is not this artist in his prime, and that is Elton John and Brandi Carlile live at the London Palladium. I've seen Elton John maybe 18 times, although I haven't seen him in about 10 years live. I saw him a whole lot in a little short amount of time, but he's kind of, he's getting up there in age, and I've seen some shows online, and they're not the best performances, but it's Elton John. He's a legend. I love Elton John. Like I said, I think I've seen him more than any other artist. But it looks like a fun show. I've seen videos of it online. Again, he's kind of at the very, very tail end of his career, and it's quite possible this is going to be one of his last concerts ever to come out on vinyl, or close to one of his last concerts ever. So I'll get it. It's actually a show that was recorded March of this year. So we're a quick turnaround. March 26th of this year at the London Palladium. Quick turnaround to Record Store Day in November. 4,000 copies of it. There's a couple of newer tunes on there from his latest album. There's a couple of, Saturday Night's All Right for Fighting, classic Elton tunes. I'll pick it up, put it on the Elton shelf. I'm sure it'll be good. It's just not going to be, live in Australia good. And last on this list, the title I'm looking forward to, the Ramones, CBGB's 1977. Kind of, you think of CBGB, you think of the Talking Heads, you think of the Ramones. That's kind of the band. You think of Blondie. You think a lot of it. You think, damn, what a cool time to just be hanging out at a random dive bar in the Bowery. That's what you think about. But in 2025, you think about the Ramones. And the Ramones 1977 live at CBGB. First time on vinyl. They're doing 6,000 copies. So, I don't know. I'm a pretty picky Record Store Day buyer. Now, there's a couple of jazz releases I'm going to sample as well. I didn't mention them because I've gotten to the point where I'm more selective on the jazz releases because, unfortunately, they're either unbelievably good or crummy. I'm not finding a lot of stuff in the middle, although the Strata East is just a no-brainer. Some of the live stuff has been either great, hit or miss. That's what I'm trying to tell you. It's either hit or miss. So I will, I don't know. Problem is you wait and then you're not able to get it. And if you wait, you're not able to get it and it's really good, then the price shoots up. They're doing a lot less quantity-wise of these live jazz releases than they used to. They brought the numbers way down, so it's kind of a little more risky if you don't pick them up. I don't know. But there's some other things on my list. But I mean, everything I just mentioned to you is a definite. These are titles I'm picking up. What is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I mean, 8. That's a solid number for a guy who has a lot of records. I might even pick up that Billie Eilish live. I like Billie Eilish's live at Third Man that came out for Record Store some years back. I think that'll be good as well. But this is a solid list. There's a lot of stupid stuff on it. And again, not everything is for everybody. There's a lot of stuff on these lists to hit a lot of different target audiences. Now, when Record Store Day started, everything was for everybody because it was only indie rock. That was the original Record Store Day. If you were in indie rock, you were going to love all of it for the most part. But as Record Store Day has evolved, you're starting to get a lot more segmentation of the titles. a little bit of hip hop, a little bit of jazz, a little bit of pop, a little bit of audio. I mean, there's a little bit of everything for everybody, but not a ton for one person, I think, on this list. But it's a solid list. What are you guys interested in? I mean, let me know in the comments below. Keep in mind, everything that we sell on Record Store Day, if it doesn't sell the day of, we go and put it on the website the day after. And that's always pretty big. So what are you guys looking forward to? Let me know, because it helps me in the ordering process. My order is not due for a couple of days. So I'm kind of gauging interest and seeing what people are looking for. And then I'll make my order based upon that. But you got to let me know in the comments below. Help me order, because you might be on the ingroove.com's website the day after Record Store Day looking to pick up a purchase, and your comment might facilitate me having that in stock. All right, guys, check us out online at theingroove.com. Until next time.